Okay, guys, so we did it. 69. 69 subscribers. Since 69 is a nice number for me, 6 and a 9, I decided to do a long thing and not, a long thing and 69. Okay, sorry, I'm being kind of quiet right now, but I decided that I'm going to do a long reading this time. And this is why I haven't posted a while. And just so you know, this chapter 4, part 2, you'll know which one it is. It might sound different than the audio right now because I recorded it on a separate day, and sometimes the audio sounds good and sometimes it doesn't. Well, here we go. He eventually found a hairpin and closed the locker. He walks over to the classroom door and fiddles with the lock a bit until, got it! He exclaims and opens the door. I smile and run into and grab my bag. When I come back, I asked him, "How do you do that?" I was astonished that a person like him would know this kind of stuff. He shrugged and said, I wasn't always the most perfect guy back in middle school, but I guess my naughty boy skills pay off well enough. He smiles and closes the door. This is great. I got my bag and I talked to Travis a little bit. I take back what I said today. I think it's shaping up already. I started walking when Travis stopped me. I turned to look at him and he brushed my bangs aside and slipped the hairpin in it. I blushed insanely and mumbled, uh, This is your cousin's. Shouldn't you give it back?" He shook his head and smiled warmly. "Nah, she has way too many of those to even notice. It's not like she counts them." He moves his hand away and looks at me. "You want to be approachable. You gotta look the part." He gave me one last smile and walked away. I stood there, dumbfounded. Did that just happen? That just happened. That just freaking happened. But how? Or whatever, it happened. And that's all that matters after today. I feel better already. When I got home, I immediately went upstairs. I didn't want to be in the living room or kitchen. Fear that whatever happened yesterday will happen again. I didn't want to take the risk, so I went into my room. I put my stuff away and fell down onto my bed. I was tired and I just felt like I wanted to sleep. A little nap won't hurt, right? I did have a long day, so I should get a little rest. I got into something comfy to wear and I hopped onto the bed. I wrapped myself in the blanket and dug my face into the pillow. I was drifting off when I heard my phone ring. I looked over at it. Addie was calling. No doubt she wants to talk about the incident in the locker. I ignored the call and sent it to voicemail. I'm sure she'll understand. I started falling asleep when I heard a loud bang downstairs. I groaned and got up. I walked downstairs and looked around. I went to the kitchen and saw a pot fell onto the floor. That's probably what made the loud bang. I picked it up and put it back into its cabinet. I went back upstairs and heard scruffling. I started to get uneasy. I checked downstairs again and walked into the living room. Nothing seemed odd about it. Nothing was moved or broken. Do we have mice in the house? I looked around and sorry. I look I looked around. I looked around and didn't see anything. I went back upstairs when something stuck to my foot. I looked down and grabbed it. It was a piece of paper. It read, "Check the front door." Maybe it's a note from my mom. She always writes notes for my dad in the morning when he can't find his keys. But since I'm a curious being, I do as the note says. I open the front door and look around outside. No one is out here, and nothing seems off. I notice another note outside of the door. I take it and read it. Now, look upstairs. I was nervous now, but I walked up anyways. I didn't see a note anywhere, so I just went into my room. There, I saw another one. What the hell kind of game is this? I grabbed it and read what it said. Don't look behind you. My eyes widened out of surprise. What the hell is this? It says not to look behind me. But like I said, I'm a curious soul, so I ended up looking. Then I realized the window is right behind me, and I get real anxious. I turn to see that nothing is there. Now, I got all worked up for no reason. I'm such a wuss. I laughed to myself and turned back around when I freeze. My parents' room is right across from mine, and as I recall, the door was closed. But the door is wide open, and I can see inside, and I'm terrified. At the far end of the room, across from the doorway, I see a man. He stands there staring at me. How? How did he get in? More importantly, who is he? Then the memory kicks in. It's the guy from last night. Jeff? Why is he here? Just here to cause more trouble? But then, I remember. He didn't get to kill me last night. What if he's here to finish me off for good? I start to tremble and shake my head. No, 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 no! I scream and bolt for the stairs. I can hear his footsteps coming after me as I run to the front door. I open it, but yelp. There's a dog outside. But it wasn't just any dog. It looked like a husky, with black and red fur. I could deal with the weird fur, but what surprised me was that it smiled. It was a big, wide smile that just looks plain and creepy. This was definitely no normal dog. I immediately slammed the door before it could pounce on me. I turn and see that Jeff was there. I head to the back door in the kitchen and make it there. I try to open it, but it won't budge. It's locked. I look through the drawers, but I can't find the damn key. Son of a bitch! I look up to see Jeff across the kitchen. I turn around and see the window is open. He must have snuck in and left it like that. What an idiot. I run for it and manage to leap out, hitting my side, and I fell down. I struggled to get up, but then I thought of the dog. I got up and ran for the neighbor's house. They have to help me. They just have to. I knock on the door once. I get there and push the doorbell button so many times it should break. No answer. No one came. They must not be home. I try to open the door, but it's locked, of course. I forget it and run to the back. I climb over the wooden fence and fall over again. I was in their backyard. I think I should be safe. I hear a sudden growling. I look to see that it wasn't the dog from before, but the neighbor's raging Rottweiler. Oh, damn. What's worse, it wasn't tied up. So, really, I should say, oh shit. I got up and tried to go over, but the dog barked and ran at me. I jumped out of the way and ran for its house. I climbed on top of the house and watched the dog bark up at me. I have to get out of here and find a safer place. I can't go back home, and I can't stay here for long. As I was thinking, the dog suddenly jumped up and threw me off my balance. I fell down and hit my head against the rock. Things just keep getting worse. The Rottweiler came around and then bit my arm. I really need to stop jinxing myself. It jerked violently and I screamed in pain. I felt a shadow come over me quickly and something landed behind the Rottweiler. I looked to see it was the smiling dog. Great. Bring me a whole raging bull now, won't you? The smiling dog growled and gave me a crazy look before it noticed the Rottweiler. It barked gruesomely and attacked the other dog. It bit its leg, making the Rottweiler let go of my arm. It cradled it closely and dirtied my I cradled it closely and dirtied my shirt as it bled. I need to find help for this fast. I was about to get up when I heard a horrible whining and squealing. I looked over at the fight, and what I saw was so disturbing. That smiling dog bit off a chunk of the Rottweiler. I could see the rib cage. I covered my mouth from throwing up, but then the fight got worse. The smiling dog flipped the Rottweiler onto its side and mauled its stomach. Blood and pieces of intestines flew everywhere around them. I closed my eyes to keep from watching this. I heard the Rottweiler stop whining, and it just stopped altogether. It was dead. I wanted to cry, but I knew I had to get out of here before the poor Rottweiler isn't the only one mauled into pieces. I climbed on top of the dog's house again and slipped over the fence. My arm was still injured badly, but I needed to put it aside for now. I needed to find help and fast. I ran away from the neighbor's house and went into the nearby woods. I ran over leaves and rocks and twigs, hurting my bare feet badly. I was running short of breath, and so I stopped. I sat up against a stump and rested. It's so cold outside. Mom said the weather would get around 30 degrees. That's pretty cold for the beginning of fall for us. I was freezing, with no jacket or any warm clothing. I was going to get sick. I can't stand this weather. I felt dizzy from blood loss and cold. I don't have a lot of time left awake. I have to get help before they get me. I don't want to end up dead and lost out in these woods. That would be a horrible discovery for my friends and family. I try standing up on my feet and they are numb from blisters and cuts and the cold. I don't think I could move anymore. I sit up straight and try crawling, but I just end up collapsing. My vision was turning dark, and just before I passed out, I saw a figure step out towards me and crouch down and reach out a hand. That's the last thing I saw before I felt unconscious. I woke up back in my house, laying on the couch. I felt something warm on my arm and tried to look over. My head was numb, so I rolled over a lot. My vision cleared a bit so I could see a figure kneeling near me. I looked around some more and saw another figure, but it was smaller. My sight got better and I could see the smaller one clearly. It was a dog sitting patiently but looked weird. That smiling dog. I looked over at the other figure and saw dark hair and a white hoodie. But through that dark hair, I saw a little peek of a wide smile. I screamed and yanked my arm away. I got up and jumped over the other side of the couch. I headed for my room but immediately stumbled and hit the floor. I looked and saw my feet bandaged. That's right. They were cut up and swollen from running on twigs and rocks. But that didn't stop me from trying to escape. I crawled, hurling my entire body with my arms only. This was getting me nowhere. The dog came around and looked down at me. I ignored it and kept trying to move. The dog grabbed my shirt on the collar in its mouth and dragged me back to the couch. I tried to get a I tried to whack at it, but it's still a bit weak. I was still a bit weak. Curse my flimsiness. The smiling dog dragged me to that Jeff guy who was patiently waiting on the floor. The dog let go of me and I sat up. I eyed it and it just growled slightly. I looked back towards Jeff and sneered. Come to kill me again? I see. I grumbled. He wasn't fazed. He just kept staring blankly at me, which was kind of creeping me out. It was quiet in the room. The only sounds were that dog scratching itself and its fur getting all over the damn carpet. I sighed. I'm gonna have to clean that up later. If it's there later, that is. I looked at my bandaged feet and then back at Jeff, who was still staring. I then relaxed a bit and asked, Did you fix my feet? He looked down at me and said, I had to. They were pretty bad shape. I had to. They were in pretty bad shape. The irony that you'd fix them up after I used them to step on your face last night? I teased, and he frowned and growled, Shut up! I kind of jumped when he said that in that tone. A loud and harsh tone that scares me. Oh, I have to start over. Shut up! I kind of jumped when he said that. A loud and harsh tone like that scares me. He realized that, and I got uneasy inside. Give me your damn arm, he said. I wasn't done with it yet. I hesitated to do it, but I reached out and gave it to him anyways. He grabbed some bandages that were placed next to him and started cleaning my wounds. As he did, I got some time to look at the dog. It was sitting there, staring at me too. It wasn't the prettiest, the hound. What? It wasn't the prettiest hound, I'll give you that. I always liked huskies, but this was no husky. It may have some features, but it's definitely not a husky. I grew uneasy as it kept staring at me like I'm dinner or something. I decided to figure out what the hell that thing was. Is that a dog? I asked. Jeff nodded and didn't say a word. Oh, what's wrong with its face? I asked Jeff. He looked up at me and said, He's just like that. Don't stare if you don't like his look. Well, I'm just asking. He's kind of like you. Jeff shrugs. I guess, he mumbles. He started putting some cream on the wound now. Where is he from? I ask Jeff. He stops and looks over at the dog. I'm not sure myself, he says. I just found him out on the streets with no home, and so I took him in. He's my pet now. I actually found that sweet. He'd do that for a dog like that. I'd be afraid of it, but I guess since they're like the same in a way, Jeff isn't bothered by it, and neither is the dog. What's his name? I ask. Jeff looks at me and gives the dog a warm look. His name is simply Smile. That is a simple name. Smile, because he has a huge smile. Seems obvious enough. If anyone asked why Jeff calls him that, they must be stupid not to see. Jeff reaches over and pets Smile gently. The dog brushes up against his hand and licks him. It's actually quite cute in a way. Despite the weird smile, he seems to be a nice dog. Jeff looks at me and asks, "Would you like to pet him?" I immediately get the feeling that if I try, Smile will bite my hand off. But Jeff keeps beckoning me, and I have no choice but to pet him. I slowly reach over and hover my hand over near his head. Smile sniffs it, and he eyes it suspiciously. I'm just gonna have to say goodbye to my hand real quick now. I close my eyes, and as soon as I do, I feel something against it. I squeak a little and look. Smile just has his head under it. It's all. I start to scratch him gently, and Smile doesn't seem to bite me yet. He licked my hand too and suddenly leaped onto my lap. He licked my thigh and rested his head there. I put my hand on his back and pet him for a while. Before I knew, Smile had fallen asleep. He likes you, Jeff said with a mischievous amusement. I chuckle and just keep petting Smile. I was right. Maybe he looks strange, but deep down, he's just a nice, loyal dog. Eventually, Jeff is putting bandages on my wound. He wraps them tight and pins them together so it will stay put. I put my arm down and sigh. Is your head feeling okay? He asks. Oh, yeah, that's right. I hit my head against a rock. I reached up and felt bandages where the injury was. I nod and say, "Yeah, I think you patched it up well enough." He chuckles and says, "Good. Now, where is the food here? Jeffy's hungry." I roll my eyes. I knew his serious demeanor would not last long. "Food is always in the kitchen, idiot. Feel free to get whatever, just don't trash the place or raid our refrigerator." Hmm? "Food is always in the kitchen, idiot. Feel free to get whatever, just don't trash the place or our refrigerator. If you do that, I will be held responsible." "Then I'll be sure to leave a mess," he chimes happily. I glare at him. "Don't you dare," I warned. He stuck his tongue out at me and sprinted for the kitchen. Geez, he's like a child. He better not mess the place up. I sat on the living room floor with Smile sleeping on me. I didn't want him to get up, or I didn't want to get up. I sat in the living room floor with Smile still sleeping on me. I didn't want to get up and disturb his slumber. Not because I'm afraid he won't like it, but because he looks kind of cute when he sleeps. And I'm still pretty cold, so Smile's warmth is keeping me cozy. I looked at my arm. I hope that dog didn't have any rabies or something. I'm sure it's a nasty bite. I examined the bandages and see that did a pretty good job. He didn't seem the type to know how to fix wounds, only inflict them. I looked up to see my mark. I still don't know what it is. Maybe I can ask Jeff about it now. I looked into the kitchen to see him struggling with pots and pans that were about to fall from the cupboard. What a dunce! "Hey!" I called. Apparently, that surprised him and let all the stuff fall and create a bunch of noise. Sadly, it woke Smile up, and he went from sleepy to on guard. I roll my eyes and sigh. "I got it," Jeff yells. Don't worry, Ellie. You better clean it up. Wait, how do you know my name?" Jeff looks up from the counter and says, I've always known your name. Actually, I'm supposed to. I eye him with suspicion. He's supposed to know who I am? How is he supposed to know? Why? I started. Are you supposed to know who I am? Because, he says and puts the pots back up, you're the proxy. There's that word again. Proxy. And what bothers me is that he says the before it, like I'm someone special or something. Don't you mean proxy? I asked. Nope, he says, and he puts the last pan away. Who am I exactly? I ask him. He goes quiet and turns to look at me. Honestly, Elizabeth, he says, I don't know. He makes me afraid and disappointed at the same time. I always knew I was different, but I didn't think I'd be so different that I ended up with Jeff and Smile. I want to know who I am or what I am, but not that I know that I'm different. I feel restless. I already feel shaky. Jeff came back with his jar of peanut butter. I look at him. What are you intending on making? A PB&J sandwich? He shook his head and said, Not really. I didn't know what he meant until he brought the butter knife out and opened the jar and dug a dollop out and then ate it. I facepalmed myself, then looked at him. Are you serious? After all that rummaging around, you eat a jar of peanut butter, a new one, in fact, that my family and I were going to eat at some point. He stares at me for a while and then went back to eating the peanut butter. I sighed. I'm gonna have to buy some more now. I'm sure he'll eat it all. Smile gave me a pouty look and he dug some out with his finger and fed it to the dog. This was annoying me so much. I decided to try and walk off the pain. I only limped from my cut up feet, but at least I'm moving around. I went up to my room and checked my phone. Damn, my parents called about 1 billion times. They must be worried now. I'm going to have to talk with them once I get back. I hope they aren't too mad at me when they see I'm okay. I try walking downstairs, but I fall and stumble. I nearly fall all the way downstairs when Jeff suddenly sprints and catches me. He chuckles, but then we both go crashing down. When we get when we get to the bottom, he had broken my fall. I got up and thanked him while he just groaned and sneered at me. I laughed at him nervously. Smile bounds to him and licks his face while he's still down. Smile, come on, bro, what the hell? I laugh until I hear the door being unlocked. I gasp. It must be my dad. He usually is the one who gets home first from work. I grab Smile's collar and Jeff's hood and pull them upstairs. When I get to the top, I open my room and throw them in there. I shut the door and quickly head downstairs to my dad. He's barely walking in and I greet him. Hey, Daddy! He turns and smiles. Hey, Ellie, you seem energized. I nod and give him a thumbs up. He notices the bandage and asks, What happened to you, Ellie? Crap, I forgot about them. I lied to him. Oh yeah, I tripped downstairs and got a bit scratched up, but I patched myself up. No worries, Dad. I got it. Good. And why wouldn't you pick up the phone? 'Cause I called you a bunch of times, he said. I lied. I was down here patching myself up. I guess I didn't hear the ringer on. I guess I didn't have the ringer on. Sorry. He gives me a warm smile and ruffles my hair. But then his smile changes once he sees the living room. Why is there a bunch of fur on our carpet? He asked and looks at the mess. Your mother just cleaned it, and you ate all the peanut butter? Ah, Ellie, you got stains on the carpet too. Lies, lies, lies. I can't keep making stuff up under pressure. Jeff and Smile are going to pay for this. Sorry. I just got really hungry for peanut butter, so much. I ate the whole jar of it, and Addie gave me one of her bows, so it must have gotten pieces of fur on the floor. My dad sighs and says, All right, you better clean this up before your mom gets back, or else she won't be easy on you. I nod and get some cleaning supplies. I throw the empty peanut butter jar in the clean the stains. I brush away the fur and put some Febreze on the carpet. Once I was done, I ran back upstairs to my room. I walk in to see Jeff on my bed reading a teen magazine Johnny gave me. He saw me and said, Hey, Elizabeth. Did you know that teens this year are more sexually active than any other year? Who is the lucky boy? I growl and yank the magazines out of his hand. I roll it up and whack him with it. Ow! Just 'cause no boy finds you attractive doesn't mean you have to take it out on me. I hit him some more. Okay, just 'cause no boy fancies you doesn't mean. Jeff, shut up! I yell. He goes quiet and stares at me. I frown. You and your dog nearly got me in trouble. Next time you better not leave a trail behind, or I'll be forced to lie to my father again, and God knows how hard that is for me. He shifts his eyes around and mumbles. So, there, er, so there is a next time? I growl and pull him up. Listen, I don't know what the hell your deal is, but I don't want any part of what you're doing. You're only causing trouble for the both of us, so just leave. Please. I don't want anything to do with you. You're putting too much stress on me, and I started hyperventilating and I fell to my knees. I've told you I can't deal with pressure or anything else or I'll panic. Jeff bends down and grabs my shoulder. Hey, what's wrong with you? Ellie, Elizabeth, what's wrong? I can't talk for my harsh breathing. He looks around and grabs a paper bag. He waves air to my face, but it's not helping me. I shake my head and point to the drawer at my desk. He goes over and opens it. There's a paper bag in there just in case if I hyperventilate, and pills in case I'm acting worse. He grabs both and hands them to me. I breathe into the paper bag, but it's not helping. So this is it, huh? I grab the pills and take one. Unfortunately, I was panicking so much that I couldn't swallow it. I spit it back up and coughed. This didn't make my breathing better. Smiled started barking and Jeff snapped at him to stop. I don't have any other remedies, so I stayed coughing and practically choking until I fell across the floor and passed out. I woke up in my bed nicely tucked in. I even had an old plushie set next to me I kept in my closet. It was around 6 o'clock. Mom must be back home making dinner. I sit up and look around. Jeff and Smile aren't here anymore. I hold my head back because of the flash of pain that went through the side. I groaned and looked at my desk. My paper bag and pills were on the table, and also a note. It looked like the notes I read before Jeff came out today. I slipped out of bed and picked up the note. I read it. I put you in bed as soon as you passed out on me. I don't know what you were going on about before you hyperventilated, but I know I should back off for now, so don't force yourself. You're weak right now. Also, you might have a cold too, so take some medicine or whatever. That's all I wanted you to know. See you around, Ellie. P.S. Don't end up like those sexually active teens. I will shun you until the day you die. Jeff. I couldn't suppress my giggling and smiles. He's so weird, but I am too. Maybe it's a good thing. The next day I went to school with a horribly stuffy nose. Jeff was right. I do have a cold and it sucks. The neighbors found out about their dog. They claimed maybe a bear or a wolf from the nearby forest came and attacked the poor thing. If they only knew what really did the damage. I was in algebra with Ian. Things between us were still a bit touchy. We barely talked at all the past couple of minutes. Usually, he blabs away. I look at him and he doesn't look back. He's probably too busy taking notes. I take a deep breath and say, So, any new scary stories to spread around to scare the weak-hearted? I smirk and he finally looks at me, straight. Yes, but I won't use that story until later on once Halloween starts kicking in. I smile. Tell me, I pleaded, and he shook his head. Sorry, short stack. You're just gonna have to wait. I pouted and he chuckled. At least he hasn't changed his love for trickery and his love to just annoy the hell out of me. I write down a couple notes when he grabs my hand and moves down my sleeve to see my mark. He gives me a concerned look and sighs. I pull it down and gulp. He's still a bit upset, though. Algebra was over and the bell rung a few minutes after. I headed to the cafeteria doors and met up with Addie and Jonna. Addie hasn't said anything about me missing her call or the marks. I just hope she keeps it that way. I don't feel like explaining. We sit back at our We sit at the back as usual and eat. Addie told us about the update she got during second period. 8 more people killed now. Jeff is still roaming around, I see. Could he be upset that I yelled at him? If if he is, then I'm the reason he's killing so many people. I don't want people to die on my account. That's unsettling to me in so many ways. I just hope he stops sooner, or else this town will be completely wiped out. Lunch ended eventually, and I headed to the restroom. I don't like to go during class. I'm afraid I won't get important information while I'm gone. I head to the girls' restroom and walk in when I see Maddie, Claire, and Stephanie. I sigh. Maddie turns around and says, Oh, hey, Elizabeth. What are you doing here? You're not pretty enough to even bother checking yourself. Claire and Stephanie giggle at the remark and I frown. Actually, if I was insecure about my looks, then I would frequently check to see if I appeared interesting. But if I felt I looked more than a decent or confident, then I wouldn't even bother to take a glimpse at myself. So, really, you three are the insecure ones. Maddie sneers. Don't get smart with us. You know this is the girls' bathroom. Not a pig pen. They start laughing and I groan. But I shouldn't have to deal with this. I wish Jonna was here to tell them off. You three don't have to tell me twice. I already was leaving this Barbie fest. I mutter and start towards the door when I hear Stephanie say, Hey, Elizabeth, you're gonna show us your tattoos? I stop. I knew she'd say something about them eventually. I turn to them and say, they're not tattoos. They're just marks. And I think you should worry about your own skin. By the way, it looks like you three need to. What now, bitch? Maddie growled. I sighed again. Maddie frowns. You think you're so smart, huh? Well, no one likes smartasses. That's why everybody hates you. Why are you so freakishly disgusting, you fat pig? Go purge or something. I glare at her. I know what purging is, and it is not pleasant. To think that people like Maddie can bring down people like me so much to do that we hurt ourselves. It's not something to even joke about. I don't need to change myself to fit your image. I like the way I am, and I don't intend to change that, I said. I'm not the one people should hate, you guys are. I turn to open the door when I feel my hair being yanked back. It's Maddie. She threw me away from the door. What if they beat me like in 6th grade, 8th, and ninth? I don't want this to happen. I have enough bruises already. Claire picks me up and yanks my hair. Stephanie grabs my bag and dumps my stuff all over me, then shoving my bag in my face. Maddie comes over and grabs my face and pulls it close to hers. Well, she hisses, once we're done with you, you'll be the hated one that your own family despises you. Then things got worse. Maddie started slapping my face over and over, while Stephanie kicks my side repeatedly. I tried to keep tears back. I was about to yell at them when Maddie suddenly punches my gut. I choke for a split second to slump on the floor. Claire drags me to the wall and bangs my head against the wall. She called me names. Worthless, freak, ugly, reject, loser, weak, whore. Everything you could think of. She let me go and I wheezed slightly. Stephanie comes over and picks me up and throws me against the sink counter. I try to take a deep breath and Maddie runs over and smashes my face into one of the mirrors. She starts shouting in my ear. You're disgusting. You're a worthless piece of shit. You shouldn't even be alive. You don't belong here. You should die. She throws me back to the floor and Stephanie stomps on my rib cage, bruising my torso. She throws me back to the floor and she stops and I take a breather. The tears already start coming and I couldn't control it. I sobbed unbearably and I spit up blood too. They called me petty for crying. I tried to breathe when Stephanie came over and kicked me in the eye. That's when I lost it. I screamed and wailed, and they all started bashing me as I lay helplessly on the floor. I closed my eyes, wishing someone could come and save me. Then I hear the door open and then shouting. I opened my eyes to see security guards and the teacher. They took away Maddie, Claire, and Stephanie. The teacher stayed behind to help me pick up my stuff. She helped me and gave me a tissue. I looked at the mirror. It was smashed in, and I saw the crack from the impact. And I looked horrible. My black eye was starting to form, and my chin was dripping with spit up blood. I started to cry more. I looked horrid. Now next time they're going to beat me, I'll always think of 6th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, and now 11th grade too. I was walking home before school ended, and I had talked to the principal and counselor. They're suspending Maddie and her friends for 3 days. Apparently, I'm not the only one they've beaten up in the past couple of weeks. In my opinion, they shouldn't get suspended. What good does it do? It's like a vacation, just a blind excuse to get out of school. If anything, they should suffer more now in, in school or something. Boot camp, maybe? Oh, that'll be the day. I don't want to think about school right now. After what happened, I just want to go home and take a nice hot shower and take a nap. I was just a few blocks away from my house when I got to an area where I could see the woods clearly. It felt eerie this time of year, but it felt especially eerie to me considering my bad experiences I've had with it when I was little. I stopped looking over there because eventually I'll get paranoid, thinking something will pop out and take me at any moment. I know it's silly, but I'm just like that. I started walking again when I hear water. Running water, in fact, like a stream or river. But there isn't a river or pond anywhere here for miles. I ignore the water when I hear someone shouting, a cry for help. Then they stop and I start hear gurgling and splashing. Is someone drowning? Why would they be swimming in this kind of weather anyways? Well, it doesn't matter right now. If I don't do something, whoever it is will drown to death. I ran towards the woods and followed the sound of water and struggle. I have to find them quick. Hopefully they're nearby. I don't want to go too far and lose my way back. I look around for any sign of water, but there's nothing. I just have to listen in carefully. I ran around trying to detect the noise. My breath got short and I stopped for a few seconds. In that few seconds, I heard nothing. No water, no cries for help, no gurgling or splashing. The forest seemed to be completely dead, in fact. No, damn it. Well, I think I should try finding the body and call the police. That's the best thing to do right now. Then I hear the water again, but no gurgling or screams, just running water. I wonder why it was so quiet now. Then I feel something like a drop on my cheek. I touch it and feel water. Is it raining? If so, then I have to get out of here. Rain in this cold weather is never good, especially if you're trying to get over a cold. I look at my finger to see the water drop, but find something else. Is it blood? I feel another drop on my forehead. I check again, and it's blood. I look up to see something horrifying. There's a boy on a tree branch, slumped there. His hands were hanging and his fingertips were dripping with blood. He had no eyes, only blood-leaking sockets. I was going to vomit at the sight. I looked down and suppressed it and looked back up, and he wasn't there anymore. That struck me as odd but creepy. Where did he go? Maybe I was hallucinating him. This cold must be getting to me. I think I'll just report this to the police. They can find the body. I have a bad feeling now, and I get the urge to get home quick. I turn around to go back when I come face to face with the boy who was in the tree. I didn't scream. I didn't run or panic. I just stared back at him. His eyes were empty sockets except for a tiny red light, which could be his pupil. He was the same height as me, and we were eye to eye, or eye to bloody socket. He had dirty blonde hair and a green outfit. He had a belt with a sheath attached to hold a sword. He had a sword too. I stared at him for a bit longer and decided I'd take a run for it. Before I could catch up speed, he grabbed my arm and he spun me around. He got me in a chokehold. I clawed at his arm. He removed his arm, but with the edge of his sword to my throat. I struggled, but The more I did, the more pressure he'd put. I had to stop it or else he'd slit my throat. He chuckled. So this is the fated proxy. I expected someone who actually looked like they could put up a fight. I groaned. Who are you? He scowled at me and muttered, Not important, girlie, but you're coming with me. Where are you taking me? What are you going to do with me? Just let me go, damn it. I shout. He giggles. So you have a bit of spice in you. Doesn't matter. I don't need your sass. I only need your presence. He starts talking to me. He starts taking me away, and I protest. I dig my feet into the dirt, but he yanks me forward so I lose my footing, and now he's dragging me. I pull myself up and manage to build strength to raise my foot and stomp hard on his. He yelps and lets me go. I take the chance to run. I don't look back, I just run. I trip on top of a tree root and fall. I quickly get up and ignore the pain. Fortunately, I didn't get far. He tackles me down and pins me to the ground. I squirm and hit and thrash. He pulls me down by my throat and I choke. So you can put up a fight. Impressive. But you're too much of a struggle. So you can put up a fight. Impressive. But you're too much of a struggle. I'm sure No Face won't mind if I sphere both your legs temporarily. My eyes widen and I try getting out from under him, but he's too heavy to slip through. He raises his sword to one of my legs. He cackles evilly. This may hurt a lot, so try and enjoy the pain. He was about to puncture my leg when he yells. He drops the sword and holds his shoulder. I look at it and see there's blood. I look at it and I see there's a blood-stained knife stuck there. I'd recognize that knife anywhere. Then I heard his voice again. Get your grubby hands off of Ellie. I look over and see Jeff, full of rage. The boy sees him and smiles. Hey there, long time no see, smiley face. Cut the crap, Ben, Jeff shouts. Let go of Elizabeth right now. Ben chuckles and taunts. Or what? You'll make me go to sleep? How threatening. Jeff growls. No, I won't, but I will make you wish you could dream again. Ben laughs. He cackles. Bring it, Whitney. Jeff tackles him off me and grabs the knife from Ben's shoulder. Jeff stabs him but only hits air, as Ben dodged every move. He swung his sword, but Jeff blocked it with his knife. He raised his knife to stab down at Ben's head, and Ben grabbed his wrist and spun him around. He got him in the same chokehold as he had me in. Ben hisses. Let me take her off of your hands. I'm sure she's a pain to keep around. Give her to me. Jeff growls and spins him around and pushes him against a tree. You don't know what I want. I can't take care of her. What good will you do? Why don't you just go back home and play your stupid video games? Ben kicks him away, slashes Jeff's shoulder and pins him to the ground. I'm not the one who'll back off. What did you expect to happen? You knew we'd find out about her. So you just thought you'd keep her from us? He ordered me to collect her. If I don't, they'll get her. We're not the only ones, you know. I know you guys need her. I just didn't think it'd be so soon. Can't you stay a little longer? Jeff pleads. Ben frowns. No. He needs her now before it's too late. If she stays any longer, who knows what will happen. She needs to come with us now. Jeff growls and stabs him swiftly. Ben rolls over and gets on him. She doesn't need to leave because I'm going to protect her. He stabs Ben about 30 times, over and over, until there's only blood, and he stops and pants. He was bloody, and so was Ben. He was lifeless and unmoving. I thought Jeff actually killed him. Then Ben cr- then Ben punches him across the face, and Jeff falls back. Ben sits up and groans. That really hurt, man, he said casually. Jeff rolls his eyes and mutters, weakling. Ben stands up and stretches. I hear things pop and I see the stab wounds are healing like magic. That's impossible. He can't regenerate, can he? Can Jeff heal too? I look at him and he's still got that wound. I'm guessing that's a no. Ben pops his head and he says, Oh. Ben pops his head and talks. So you're going to protect her? You? He's not going to like this. Since when have I done anything he likes? Never, Jeff said. Besides, I'm the best choice there is. Please, you're not a choice. You can't do anything. Oh, really? Look at you. You're not so good yourself. You're a lazy man. Get a hobby or something. Get a tan. At least I have a complexion, unlike your skinny white ass, Ben remarks. Whatever, dumb blonde. That's a stereotype. But you make it true. Shut up, Ben yells and blushes. Jeff smirks. Look, I can take care of her, Ben. Now why don't you go home, sit your lazy ass down, and smoke your happy grass? It's not happy grass, Ben says. It's my therapy. Jeff cracks up. For what? Craziness? Oh, that's so funny. You're funny. Hey, you're more insane than me. Bro, we're all insane. Just go home, Jeff said. Ben frowns and says, I made a promise to him that I will bring her back, and I intend to keep that promise. He runs to me and grabs me, and he runs away with me. Jeff growls, No, no. He shouts and follows after us. I saw the desperate look in his eyes. It saddens me. I have to escape, to go home. Not for Jeff. I have to escape, to go home. Not for Jeff. I struggled to get out of Ben's grip, but he wouldn't let go. I reached for his sword and hold and pulled it out. I hit him with it, and we go tumbling. I cough for a bit, then I grab his sword off the ground next to me. Just as Ben was about to get up, I pointed the tip at his chest. He chuckles. Nice try, but that doesn't affect me there. I raised the tip to his neck to make him stop talking. He gulped and smiled. Well, you are willing to put up a fight. I scowl suddenly. I feel a hand on my shoulder and I look to my left. Jeff. It's Jeff. He grabs my hand and lowers it, moving the sword away from Ben. He makes me drop it, and I obey easily. Jeff pats my head gently, and I look down at Ben. He gives him a pained look. Then his expression turns hard. Tell him, he starts. Tell him I can do this one right. Jeff suddenly picks me up bridal style and runs off with me, and we head back to my house from the dead-looking boy called Ben.